John chapter 6, beginning in verse 35, I am the bread of life, Jesus told them. No one who comes to me will ever be hungry, and no one who believes in me will ever be thirsty again. But as I told you, you've seen me, and yet you do not believe. Everyone the Father gives me will come to me, and the one who comes to me, I will never cast out. So first of all, we just saw the first of the 7 I am statements in the Gospel of John. I believe that you could make an argument that there are more. For example, we saw in a previous sermon, don't be afraid, it is I. I believe that grammatically you can make the case that this is a similar kind of statement. But when it's rendered in English quite directly, I am, that's true. This is the first of 7 I am statements. I am the bread of life. I am the way, the truth, the life. I am. This is Jesus aligning himself with the voice of the Father, Yahweh, speaking through the burning bush to Moses while he was there on holy ground. So if they caught the significance of this implication, then they would understand they're speaking to the same one to whom Moses spoke, that he is the bread of life. Now, it comes in response to a question that they've asked. Jesus talks about in the previous devotion, it's not just bread from heaven. That didn't come from Moses, that came from the Father. And I am the true bread from heaven. I am the bread of life. It wasn't just about feeding your ancestors in the wilderness. It's about saving people of every tribe and nation and language and tongue forevermore, not just through a meal one time, but through salvation for all of eternity. There's something in this as well that speaks to the classic debate within Christianity. If you're a brand new Christian, don't worry about this. This is like extra credit nerd Christian stuff. The classic debate about Calvinism and Arminianism. This is a very prominent verse within Calvinism. I've got some Calvinistic tendencies, but I don't wave the Calvin flag per se. It's true. No one comes to the Father unless the Father draws him. Now, here's what I see happen within Calvinist circles. They paint anyone who's not a true Calvinist as though they are an Arminian, and not everybody who is not a Calvinist is an Arminian, because there are non-Calvinists who believe that your salvation is immutable. There are non-Calvinists that believe this verse is true. Don't discount the role of the Holy Spirit's drawing in the salvific moment. Everybody agrees on this, okay? So Calvinists, check your ego. Arminians believe the same thing that you do about this, that when you share your faith with someone, that it's not just you and your friend matching wits at the bistro table, but it's a miracle of the Holy Spirit. We've been commissioned to share the gospel. The Holy Spirit does everything. We take no credit for it. Okay? And if you have been taking credit for, if you are of the Arminian persuasion, I'm not, but if you are a fully fledged Arminian per se, and you've been taking any kind of credit at all for what happens at the bistro table, that you get up from that table where your friend gives his or her life to Christ, and you say, I won that argument. You check your ego. That wasn't you. That was a miracle of God. If you confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. That's Romans 10:9. In 1 Corinthians 12, we see it's very clear. You can't say Jesus is Lord except for by the Holy Spirit. So that moment that someone says Jesus is Lord, what you're hearing is nothing short of a miracle of the Holy Spirit of God. You can't come to the Father unless the Father draws you. So that's a miracle of God when somebody gives their life to Christ. Calvinist, Arminian, Molinist, Amyraldian, I don't care where you fit on that spectrum, you got to give 100% credit for the salvific moment to God, because it's a miracle every single time. Moreover, he just spoke to the security of salvation, the perseverance of the saints, the immutability of salvation. If everyone, you can't come to the Father unless the Father draws you, and he's not going to lose anyone the Father has given him. Now, in a very direct sense, as you'll see when we get to chapter 17, this is about the disciples. Not one of them will be lost except for the one to whom, through whom prophecy will be fulfilled. More on that later. But this is also a very clear case for the drawing of the Holy Spirit and salvation, and the fact that you can't lose your salvation. Jesus isn't going to resurrect you only to let you die again. You're his. You belong to him. You were bought with a price, and the down payment of the Holy Spirit of God secures what is eternal in its significance. Before the foundations of the world, he knew that you would believe in him, and he predestined that you would be conformed to the likeness of his Son. If you come from a background that teaches you can lose your salvation if you're a bad boy, then I want you to read what Jesus just said. He's not going to lose anyone the Father has given him. That's quite beautiful. Let that be a warm security blanket. Let that be a humbling moment if you, the Arminian persuasion, have taken credit for outwitting someone in an evangelistic, duel. No, it's not that at all. Okay, Samson, it's God working through you. And I want you to go out there relieved of the pressure to win an argument. When you share your faith, when you light up the darkness, all you're doing is sharing the gospel. The Holy Spirit does everything else. Watch the Father draw people in. Now, go light up the darkness.